No, I don't think the two are quite the same thing. In a religion, you have to believe in some otherworldly or metaphysical force. I don't think that that's the case with democracy at all. Democratic governments ought to be neutral as far as those big questions about the meaning of life, what happens after death, and so on are concerned. I do think there has to be a common agreement to abide by certain rules and laws, without that, things, of course, would collapse very quickly. I think that the particular nature of the separation of church and state in the US, as is true of Protestant countries in Europe, or majority of Protestant countries in Europe, does have a lot to do with that, and that the authority of the Vatican, of the Catholic Church, was much more opposed to democratic development in the past than the Protestant churches were. The Protestant churches have a tradition of being suspicious of authority, and certainly of absolute authority, encouraging a certain kind of individualism, since every individual, according to the Protestant faith, has his own pipeline to God and doesn't need to go on his knees or her knees to priests. Yes, I do think that. It's very clear what it is to be an American citizen. It's a political concept more than anything else. It means that you are loyal to the Constitution, and you're a good citizen, and then you can have whatever culture you wish in your private life. So you have the hyphenated citizen. It's much harder for Europeans to accept that this is possible. Also, the fact that so many Americans still themselves are religious makes them much more accepting of other people who are equally religious, even though of religions that are not Christian or not all that familiar. Yes, I think that's probably fair to say. Also, the US has a long history of a kind of folk Christianity in the form of evangelism, evangelical faiths, which in itself is very close to business and entrepreneurship. People who start mega churches or promote their religious faith on television are businessmen as well as preachers, and that goes back to almost the beginning of the United States. That's why I started my book with the story of Elmer Gantry.